If I stay quiet, people die. If I speak up, my family suffers. These words tormented Marcus Rodriguez as he cleaned executive offices at Global Med Solutions, where he stumbled upon a chilling truth: the company's medication was killing patients. Subscribe now and turn on notifications to never miss a story. The 32nd floor of Global Med Solutions was always eerily quiet. Marcus Rodriguez pushed his cleaning cart past identical glass offices, the hum of the building's ventilation broken only by the squeak of his wheels. Every night at 11:07 p.m., he emptied the trash bin outside the office of Dr. Catherine Werner, Vice President of Clinical Research. The routine never changed until March 14th. That night, Marcus noticed the bin was overflowing with documents. As he grabbed the liners, a stapled packet slid onto the floor. The bold red confidential stamp caught his eye. The title read, "Adverse Event Report, Internal Review Only," followed by a table of patient IDs, dates, and the chilling phrase, "cardiac arrest," scattered throughout. His stomach dropped. The dates covered last September, the same month his sister Rosa had collapsed at work. They told him it was an undiagnosed heart condition. His hands trembled as he flipped through the pages. Another document showed 2 columns, one labeled Reported Trial Results with glowing outcomes, and another titled Actual Data, revealing failure rates above 60%. A third page contained an email chain between executives. One message read, "Per our discussion, we'll proceed with the original submission package. The mortality signal appears confined to higher doses, which we can address in post-marketing." Marcus's breath quickened. In 2018, Janssen Pharmaceuticals had been exposed for hiding kidney failure risks in a diabetes drug. Now, he held similar evidence in his hands, dated just months before Rosa's death. The medication they'd given her at the emergency clinic, Sovardia, was listed in the report. The elevator dinged, sharp and sudden, like a countdown clock. Marcus shoved the most damning page into his uniform pocket just as another custodian wheeled a mop bucket past. For 20 agonizing minutes, he kept cleaning, his mind racing. The executive floor printer whirred to life down the hall, spitting out more secrets. By midnight, Marcus had searched 7 more bins. In the CFO's office wastebasket, he found shredded fragments showing dollar amounts and the words, "physician incentives." Near the conference room, torn meeting notes included the phrase, "accelerate submission timeline despite AE concerns." Each discovery tightened the knot in his chest. When his break came, Marcus locked himself in a bathroom stall. He flattened the stolen documents against his knees. The adverse event report listed 127 fatalities officially deemed not drug-related, despite internal analysis proving otherwise. A post-it note stuck to one page read, "John, FDA won't catch this if we bury it in supplementary materials. Already handled the Connolly data." Marcus thought of his 8-year-old daughter Lucia sleeping safely at home. Then he pictured Rosa's face, laughing about her new blood pressure medication at Sunday dinner. The dates matched. The drug names matched. The symptoms matched. He folded the papers carefully, sliding them behind his janitorial ID badge. The clock read 1:53. 3 floors below, the chief of security would begin his rounds at 2:15. The documents sat in Marcus's locker for 3 sleepless nights. Each time he passed it during his shifts, the metal door seemed to pulse faintly, like a heartbeat he couldn't ignore. He found himself scanning employees' lanyards, the dangling badges feeling like silent eyes tracking his every move. At home, Lucia asked why he kept checking the locks twice. He told her it was nothing, but his hands tightened when he read the label on her cough medicine. His supervisor, Carl, suddenly took an interest in cleaning carts, appearing unannounced to inspect cabinet edges for dust. Once, Carl lingered near the cart's lower compartments, where Marcus had hidden photos of the documents beneath spare trash bags. The office manager began requiring sign-offs for waste removal from the executive floor. Security logs flashed in Marcus's mind. They'd know exactly which bins he'd emptied that first night. The memory of Rose's funeral haunted him. Her hands had looked waxy in the casket, the doctor's explanation of sudden arrhythmia echoing in his head. Digging through her paperwork last weekend, he found a note in her handwriting: Sovardia 40 milligrams daily. The stolen documents listed irregular heartbeat as a major risk requiring monitoring. Rose's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a consequence of negligence, a reminder of how easily lives were reduced to numbers. A coworker mentioned the SEC Whistleblower program in the break room, recalling a Pfizer employee who received $279 million for exposing fraud. Marcus pretended not to listen but couldn't shake the thought. That money could secure Lucia's future. But he also remembered the stories of whistleblowers who lost everything, fighting lawsuits for years. The grocery store near his apartment had a "now hiring" sign. Minimum wage, no benefits. New cameras appeared above the file storage rooms overnight, their fisheye lenses capturing every angle. One had been repositioned to face the trash bin Marcus usually emptied. He made a show of cleaning thoroughly under its gaze, his back turned toward the supply closet where he'd stashed copied pages inside empty cleaning product boxes. Wednesday's shift felt like walking through a minefield. The head of HR appeared on the janitorial floor at 1 a.m., unheard of. Marcus overheard whispers about mandatory meetings on document handling policies. Passing the security office, he saw guards reviewing footage frame by frame. One glanced up, holding eye contact a moment too long. At 4 a.m., Marcus laid out his evidence in the cramped custodial bathroom. 17 photographed pages, 2 voicemails, a timeline linking Sovardia to Rose's death, and Lucia's school photo. He touched her smiling face, his ribs aching as he took a deep breath. Whatever happened next, Global Med would know who had exposed them. Marcus kept his phone hidden in the cleaning cart's bleach compartment, wrapped in a plastic bag to muffle any sounds. Every night at 2:17 a.m., when the security guard stepped out for a cigarette, Marcus would photograph documents for 4 tense minutes. His system was precise, left hand pressing the paper flat, right thumb tapping the screen, eyes darting between the document and the hallway. The flash stayed off, the shutter sound disabled. Each click of the camera button felt like a heartbeat pounding in his ears, a reminder of how thin the ice beneath him truly was. The coffee incident happened on a Tuesday. Marcus was reviewing photos in the custodial closet when Johnson from security barged in, holding 2 cups. "Long night, huh?" Johnson's smile was tight, his movements deliberate as he pretended to trip, sending dark liquid arcing toward Marcus's phone. The device shorted out instantly. Johnson apologized too loudly, fumbling for the SIM card, but Marcus had already uploaded everything to a cloud account Lucia didn't know existed. The next day, Marcus switched to Lucia's math notebook, the one with unicorn stickers on the cover. During lunch breaks, he transcribed data into the margins between her fractions homework, using code words they'd invented for grocery lists. Aunt Rose's medicine became Sovardia. Work friends meant the executives. The notebook never left his side. He even slept with it under his mattress. It reminded him of the Walgreens case, where handwritten notes exposed fraud. This time, though, the stakes felt even higher. The bribes surfaced in a misfiled expense report Marcus found jammed behind Werner's filing cabinet during a deep clean. Page after page listed consulting fees paid to doctors. $5,000 here, $12,000 there, all dated within weeks of glowing Sovardia study reviews. One recipient was Rose's cardiologist. Another ran the clinic near Lucia's school. Marcus's hands shook as he cross-referenced the names with adverse event reports. Every physician on the list had dismissed patient complaints about dizziness, chest pain, blackouts. The numbers haunted him: $2.3 million in bribes, 127 deaths, 43 doctors. Security measures tightened without warning. Random bag checks began. IT flagged unauthorized cloud storage usage. Marcus watched 3 custodians return from HR meetings pale-faced. He stopped bringing the notebook to work, memorizing key figures instead. The numbers played in his head like a chant. A breakthrough came from the supply room printer. While changing toner, Marcus found a misdirected print job. Q3 physician incentives, confidential. The spreadsheet detailed payments color-coded by prescription volume. Doctors prescribing Sovardia to over 100 patients, monthly earned bonuses disguised as speaker fees. One pediatrician had made $287,000 last year while reporting 0 side effects in children. The final piece emerged from a trash can in the rarely used lactation room. Crumpled beneath tissues was a handwritten note. J. Per our call, adjusted thresholds for cardiac events in Phase 3 data. Attached is cleaned version for submission. Original files purged from server as discussed. The signature was just initials, but Marcus recognized the handwriting from Werner's meeting notes. He photographed the note with Lucia's old tablet, a Christmas gift he'd claimed was broken. That night, Marcus lay awake calculating risks. The evidence was damning: falsified data, buried deaths, bribed doctors. But proving it meant walking back into Global Med's crosshairs with a target on his back. Marcus typed the message 3 times before sending it. The contact form on Sarah Chen's investigative reporting website had a character limit, so he kept it simple. I have evidence Global Med is hiding drug deaths. Can meet with documents. He used the library computer again, wiping the browser history afterward. The reply came to a new email account he'd created under his sister's maiden name. Name your place. Bring originals. The diner on 8th Avenue was the kind of place where the coffee stayed warm too long. Marcus arrived early, scoping out exits and sitting where he could see the door. Lucia's tablet was hidden in his jacket pocket, recording everything. When Sarah walked in, she looked younger than her byline photo, sharp-eyed, scanning the room like she expected trouble. She ordered tea without looking at the menu. "You're not what I expected," she said, her gaze flicking to his work boots and the Global Med logo on his shirt collar. "Most whistleblowers come with lawyers." Marcus kept his voice low. Most whistleblowers don't empty trash cans for the people they're exposing. He slid a folded sheet across the table, the original adverse event report with Werner's handwritten notes in the margin. Sarah's fingers hesitated before opening it. This could be stolen, fabricated. Her breath hitched when she saw the patient death tally. "Why you, but..." Marcus pulled Rosa's prescription bottle from his pocket, the label matching the drug in the report. For a moment, he thought of her laugh, the way she'd trusted the doctors. "My sister," he said simply. The dates aligned perfectly. Rosa started Sovardia 2 weeks before the first redacted patient death in the documents. Sarah's pen hovered over her notebook. The bell above the door jangled. Marcus didn't turn, but Sarah's eyes widened slightly. A man in a navy suit took a counter seat 3 stools down, his back to them. Marcus recognized the posture. Global Med's head of security always stood like that during fire drills, shoulders squared, head barely moving as he surveilled the room. Sarah closed her notebook. "Tell me about the clinical trial data." Her voice was suddenly louder. Marcus played along, describing made-up overtime shifts while watching the security chief's reflection in the napkin dispenser. After 7 minutes, Sarah accidentally knocked her purse over. As they both bent to pick it up, she whispered, "Fire exit past the restrooms. Gonna..." He waited until the security chief got a phone call. The men's room door swung shut behind him, but Marcus kept walking straight to the emergency exit. The alley smelled of rotting lettuce. He counted to 300 behind a dumpster before circling back to the front. Sarah's car was idling at the curb. She drove 3 blocks without speaking, checking mirrors constantly. That was Vance Coulson. He testified before Congress about Global Med's security protocols last year. Her hands tightened on the wheel. "They're already tracking you." Marcus pulled the tablet from his jacket, queuing up the most damning files. Sarah parked behind a laundromat to review them. The footage of document shredding made her curse under her breath. When she saw the spreadsheet of physician payments, her face went still. "This matches a tip we got last month from a clinic receptionist," she said. "We couldn't verify it without internal documents." Her finger tapped the screen where Rosa's doctor appeared with $18,000 in consulting fees. Biohaven Pharmaceuticals tried dismissing similar claims from a sales rep last year. They settled for $8.4 million after the media picked up the story. Marcus felt the weight of the decision settling between them. Sarah turned off the car. "If I take this, we're both targets. They'll dig through your past. They might threaten your family. You understand that?" He thought of Lucia's asthma medication, the way she trusted doctors implicitly, the way Rosa had trusted them too. What choice do I have? Sarah plugged a flash drive into the tablet. "We move fast. I have sources at the FDA who can verify these numbers quietly." The files copied over with a soft whirring sound. "Don't contact me again from any device you've used before. Assume your home and phone are compromised." As Marcus walked to the bus stop, he noticed a black sedan with tinted windows parked near the laundromat. It didn't follow him, but he took 3 transfers anyway. That night, he slept with Lucia's notebook under his pillow again, the addresses of Sarah's verified sources now hidden between math problems. The keycard failure happened at 10:47 p.m. on Monday. Marcus swiped 3 times before the security light stayed red. The guard at the desk barely glanced up. "System update," he said, not meeting Marcus's eyes. Marcus knew it was a lie. He'd just seen 3 other employees enter without issue. As he walked to the bus stop, the weight of his phone in his pocket felt heavier than ever. Sarah's last text remained unread. FDA contact verified the trial discrepancies. By Wednesday, the threats had reached his daughter. Lucia's teacher called that afternoon, her voice tight with concern. A man in a gray sedan had followed the 3rd grade class on their field trip, lingering near Lucia's group. When confronted, he claimed to be a parent volunteer but couldn't name any children. That evening, Marcus checked the school's security cameras under the guise of fixing a leaky faucet. The footage showed the same man taking photos of Lucia's backpack. Thursday brought the eviction notice, taped to his door after he dropped Lucia at school. The landlord cited unauthorized occupants and excessive noise, both blatant fabrications. When Marcus called to protest, the landlord's voice trembled. "Just take the damn deal," he muttered before hanging up. An hour later, a corporate housing voucher bearing Global Med's logo appeared under Marcus's door. At work, the pressure mounted. His supervisor Carl began conducting random locker inspections, claiming it was new corporate policy. Though they never found the flash drive sewn into his uniform lining, Marcus noticed fresh scratches around his locker's keyhole after every break. The sabotage was constant. Cleaning supplies tampered with, tools breaking mid-shift, and even bleach poured into his gloves, leaving his hands raw and burning. Each incident felt like a calculated reminder of how far they were willing to go. The threats to his family and the harassment at work blurred together, feeding a growing sense of dread. Marcus started cataloging every incident in a notebook he hid behind a loose subway tile. Sarah's messages became more urgent. They're shredding files at their off-site facility. Need originals ASAP. But when Marcus tried to access the document storage room, he found the door now required dual authentication. As he turned away, he caught Vance Coulson watching him from the security office, his expression unreadable. The final blow came Friday. Marcus spotted a man outside Lucia's school, leaning against a lamppost with a newspaper. When approached, the man smiled, flashed a badge with no agency name, and snapped a photo of Marcus's face. That night, Marcus returned home to find his apartment searched. Nothing was stolen, but the subtle signs were everywhere. Lucia's stuffed animals rearranged, his laptop's power cord coiled too tightly. An anonymous email confirmed his worst fears. Attached was a surveillance log of his movements, ending with a chilling message: "Stop now or we visit your daughter next." Sarah's text came through at 3:17 a.m., FDA inspection scheduled in 14 days. They're purging files. Marcus read it in the custodial break room, the glow of his burner phone casting shadows on the stained linoleum. He'd seen the shredding trucks himself last night. 3 industrial units parked at Global Med's loading dock, their grinding whine audible from 3 floors up. The company's cleanup was as relentless as a storm erasing footprints, obliterating evidence faster than Sarah could document it. Lucia's cough started 2 days later. At first, Marcus thought it was seasonal allergies, but the wheezing between breaths told a different story. She clutched her chest after climbing stairs, her symptoms mirroring the early warning signs from Sovardia's adverse event reports, the ones Global Med had buried. Her pediatrician prescribed an inhaler, brushing off Marcus's concerns until he saw the doctor's name on the bribe spreadsheet: $12,000 paid last quarter for consultation services. When Marcus met Sarah at a diner with no security cameras, she confirmed the worst. "They moved everything to the Iron Mountain facility," she said, stirring her coffee with unnecessary force. "Off-site document storage with military-grade security. My source says they're shredding 10 boxes per shift." She slid a folded napkin across the table, a crude map of the storage complex with one entrance circled in blue ink. The FDA inspection was a ticking time bomb, but by the time it went off, the evidence would be pulp. Marcus remembered the RTX Corporation case from Sarah's earlier briefing. The defense contractor had destroyed 90,000 pages of documents during a federal investigation, delaying justice for years. Global Med was following the same playbook. Sarah's editor refused to run the story without original documents. "We need something with Werner's fingerprints on it," she said. The unspoken truth hung between them. Marcus would have to break into a secure facility. The next 72 hours blurred into surveillance and planning. Marcus staked out the Iron Mountain location, noting shift changes and delivery patterns. The security guards wore sidearms. Motion sensors lined the perimeter fence. Sarah secured blueprints from a retired employee, but they showed 3 different alarm systems layered over the years. Lucia's symptoms worsened. She woke up gasping Tuesday night, her lips tinged blue. Marcus drove to the only hospital not on Global Med's approved provider list, paying cash to avoid an insurance paper trail. Their doctor diagnosed exercise-induced asthma, but her lingering gaze on Sovardia's name in Lucia's medical history said everything. The same drug that killed Rosa. The same drug still being prescribed to thousands. Sarah called an emergency meeting at the library. "We're out of time," she whispered. Global Med had booked a private shredding service for the weekend. 3 trucks, 6 operators, 48 hours to destroy everything. Marcus thought of the memo estimating 19,000 patients still taking Sovardia. Marcus recognized the guard immediately, the same one who checked his ID at Global Med last week. The man's eyebrows shot up when he saw the janitorial uniform. "Rodriguez? What are you doing here?" His hand drifted toward the radio clipped to his belt. Marcus tightened his grip on the box of decoy files, feeling the stolen documents pressing against his ribs under his jacket. "I got reassigned to document transfer," Marcus lied, nodding toward Bay 14. The guard's eyes narrowed. No janitor would handle sensitive records. A crackle of static came through the radio before Marcus could explain further. "All units, lockdown protocol in Sector C," a voice announced. The guard's fingers closed around the radio. Marcus ducked into Bay 14 before the guard could respond. The storage bay smelled of dust and ink, stacked floor to ceiling with Global Med boxes. He tore open the nearest one, fingers scrambling through financial records until he found what Sarah needed, the original Phase 3 clinical trial binders. The numbers jumped off the page. 82% of patients experienced severe side effects. 43% required hospitalization. The published results had claimed 12% and 6%. The radio outside squawked again. Unauthorized access in Bay 14. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. Marcus snapped photos with Lucia's tablet, his hands trembling. Asterisk, this is it. The proof. Asterisk, but his mind raced. If they catch me, this doesn't leave the building. California's whistleblower protections flashed through his mind, but legalities wouldn't stop what Global Med might do to silence him. A folder marked confidential, legal, held the smoking gun. Printouts of emails between Werner and the legal team detailed a systematic purge of adverse event reports. Delete all references to cardiac events prior to Q2 2021, one read. Another instructed IT to sanitize the servers before the FDA inspection. Marcus recognized the pattern from the Janssen Products case, where internal documents proved deliberate fraud. These emails could trigger treble damages under the False Claims Act, 3 times the government's losses. Boots scuffed concrete outside the bay door. Marcus stuffed the emails into his jacket, replacing them with blank pages from his decoy box. The radio static grew louder. "Hurry!" The tablet's upload progress bar crawled. 78%. A shadow crossed the bay's frosted glass window. 89%. The door handle turned. 94%. Marcus hit send as the guard burst in, sidearm drawn. "Hands where I can see them." The guard's voice shook slightly. Marcus raised his arms, the tablet still clutched in one hand. The guard yanked it away, but the screen showed only a generic home screen. Marcus had wiped it the second the upload finished. The guard patted down Marcus's jacket. His fingers brushed the stolen documents. Marcus thought of the Garcia Brower precedent. Asterisk, I have the law on my side. But will it matter? Asterisk, the guard pulled out the emails. His face changed as he scanned the first page. These are company property. Those are felonies, Marcus said, keeping his voice calm despite his hammering pulse. The guard hesitated, eyes darting to the damning words. The radio crackled again. Backup was coming. The guard shoved the papers back at Marcus. Get out. Marcus ran for the emergency exit, the emails crumpled in his fist. Alarms blared as he hit the crash bar. Cold night air hit his face as he sprinted across the parking lot. Behind him, the shredding trucks roared to life, but it was too late. The originals were already in Sarah's hands. The article went live at 6:03 a.m. Eastern Time. Marcus sat on his bathroom floor, the only place in his apartment without windows facing the street, refreshing Sarah's investigative report. The headline blared, "Global Med hid patient deaths while pushing dangerous drug, internal documents show." Within minutes, financial networks picked it up. By 7:30, after a trading halt, Global Med's stock plunged 62% in 11 minutes. wiping out $4.8 billion in market value faster than Marcus could finish his coffee. He stared at the screen, the enormity of it sinking in. By 8 a.m., news vans surrounded his apartment building. Through the peephole, Marcus watched reporters jostling on the sidewalk, satellite antennas sprouting like metallic weeds. Global Med's PR team issued denials by 8:30, calling the report mischaracterized data and promising ongoing reviews. But then Sarah's outlet released the documents, emails ordering staff to delete adverse event reports, spreadsheets tracking physician kickbacks, and clinical trial binders showing 80% failure rates. At 9:47, FDA agents raided Global Med's headquarters. Marcus saw the live footage on a neighbor's TV, federal officers in windbreakers hauling out boxes while executives stood handcuffed in the lobby. It reminded him of the Janssen Pharmaceuticals case in 2013, where a $1 billion judgment revealed hidden antipsychotic drug risks. But this time, the evidence had come from a janitor's locker, not a disgruntled executive. Marcus's phone buzzed nonstop with calls from unknown numbers. Sarah texted, "Don't answer unknown callers. They're fishing for sound bites to twist." At 10:15, Global Med CEO appeared on CNBC, calling Marcus a disgruntled employee who stole proprietary information. The stock dipped another 18% when the anchor read aloud an email showing that same CEO had approved payments to doctors who ignored patient complaints. At 11:02, Lucia's school called. Reporters had surrounded the playground, shouting questions at third graders about the whistleblower's daughter. Marcus sprinted 6 blocks to fetch her, dodging cameras by cutting through alleyways. He carried Lucia home piggyback, her small hands gripping his shoulders tightly. "Why are those people mad at you?" she asked into his ear. The question lodged in his chest like a bullet. By noon, 3 class action lawsuits had been filed. Patient advocacy groups protested outside Global Med offices in 7 cities. Marcus watched the chaos from his fire escape, Lucia coloring quietly on the bed behind him. Notifications kept popping up. Another news outlet picking up the story, another politician calling for hearings, another pharmaceutical stock plummeting as investors panicked. At 2:17 p.m., the Department of Justice announced criminal charges against 7 Global Med executives, including fraud and reckless endangerment. Marcus scanned the names. Werner was 3rd, the CFO 5th. The document referenced whistleblower cooperation, but kept Marcus's identity vague for safety. That evening, Sarah called on the burner phone. "They found the shredding trucks," she said. The FDA had fast-tracked Sovardia's recall. Pharmacies would stop dispensing it by morning. Marcus thought of the 19,000 patients still taking the drug, their medicine cabinets full of poison. Nightfall brought no peace. Strangers rang his doorbell until he disconnected it. At 8:45 p.m., a rock shattered his bedroom window, wrapped in a note reading, "Snitches get stitches." He packed a go-bag while Lucia slept. Birth certificates, cash, Rose's photo. The baseball bat leaned against the doorframe within easy reach. Financial networks replayed the day's carnage. Global Med's nose-diving stock chart, the perp walks, the FDA commissioner promising reforms. Analysts compared the fallout to the Janssen case, but with one key difference. This time, the fraud was exposed by someone making $14 an hour. Marcus expected relief when the story broke. Instead, he spent the first week in motels under fake names, moving every 2 nights. The death threats started as voicemails, raspy voices promising to make it hurt. Then came the photos on his windshield. Lucia's school portrait with red X's over her face. His car burned on a Tuesday night, flames consuming the bumper sticker Lucia had picked out. Fire investigators called it undetermined origin, but Marcus recognized the sweet chemical smell from Global Med's lab cleanup kits. Lucia came home crying on Wednesday. Kids had chanted, "Snitch kid," at recess. Her teacher suggested transferring her, as if she were the problem. That night, Marcus helped her with a science project about volcanoes, ignoring the vibrating phone on the counter, another blocked number. The False Claims Act settlement promised financial security, but no amount of money could erase the way Lucia flinched when the doorbell rang. 2 weeks later, the Department of Justice called. Global Med had agreed to a $1.2 billion settlement, the third largest pharmaceutical fraud penalty in history. As the whistleblower, Marcus stood to receive between 15 and 30% under FCA guidelines. The math staggered him, $180 million minimum. Enough to buy safety, if such a thing existed. But what he wanted most was for the clinical trial victims, including Rosa, to be named in the settlement. Congress requested his testimony 3 weeks later. The hearing room felt surreal, polished wood panels, blinking cameras, rows of suited staffers. Marcus wore the same navy suit he'd bought for Rosa's funeral. When asked about retaliation, he described the burned car, the death threats, Lucia's nightmares. He held up photos of the shredded documents he'd risked everything to recover. The committee shifted uncomfortably when he mentioned how Global Med paid doctors to ignore side effects. One senator's daughter had taken Sovardia for migraines. 6 months later, the Rodriguez Act passed, strengthening whistleblower protections. Business groups called it draconian. Patient advocates displayed photos of the 127 dead in the Capitol Rotunda. Marcus watched the signing ceremony from the back row, Lucia fidgeting beside him. The president handed him a pen afterward. It felt heavier than it should have. Private security cost $8,000 a month. Lucia's therapist recommended art therapy. Her drawings showed stick figures with giant eyes, always watching. The first $27 million of Marcus's award arrived 18 months later. He set up trusts for Rosa's kids and the victims' families. The money felt like bloodstains. At night, Marcus still checked the locks twice. The security system beeped its all clear, but he kept Lucia's old baseball bat beside his bed. Some wounds didn't heal just because the world called you a hero. The scars meant remembering. Marcus never picked up another mop or emptied another corporate trash can. The settlement money meant he didn't have to, but the real change was deeper. He couldn't walk into an office building without scanning for security cameras or noticing which bins might hold secrets. Yet while he left janitorial work behind, the ripple effects of what he'd uncovered spread further than he ever imagined. His actions were like a spark igniting a wildfire as others found the courage to speak up. Within 6 months of the Global Med scandal breaking, several pharmaceutical companies quietly recalled drugs after whistleblowers came forward. A nurse in Ohio exposed forged clinical trial signatures. A factory worker in Texas revealed faulty sterilization processes. Each case echoed Marcus's, as if his story had opened a door for others to step through. The global Sovardia recall took effect 93 days after Marcus's testimony. Pharmacies in 12 countries pulled the drug from shelves, and the FDA issued emergency guidance for patients transitioning to alternatives. Epidemiologists later estimated the recall prevented approximately 19,000 deaths, a number that kept Marcus awake some nights. He'd lie there doing the math. One janitor's actions equaled a small town's worth of lives saved. The SEC noticed the surge in whistleblower tips too, reporting a 37% increase in pharmaceutical industry submissions the following year. Awards to whistleblowers totaled over $279 million, a testament to the growing wave of accountability Marcus had helped set in motion. Marcus met some of those survivors by chance. A woman recognized him at a coffee shop and burst into tears, pressing a photo of her son into his hands, a college freshman who'd been on Sovardia for migraines. The boy's neurologist had dismissed his chest pains until the recall. Another time, an elderly man stopped Marcus on the street to show him a hospital bracelet he'd kept as a relic. "They took me off this poison the day your story broke," the man said, his hands shaking. These encounters stayed with Marcus, their weight both humbling and haunting. The congressional hearing room felt different the second time Marcus visited. Before, it had been all cameras and tension. Now, families filled the spectator seats, parents holding photos of children, widowers in their Sunday best. When Marcus took the stand, a woman in the front row mouthed, "Thank you," so fervently her lips trembled. A video message from a Norwegian doctor played, praising Marcus's courage and showing a hospital wall adorned with a newspaper clipping, "The janitor who saw everything." After the hearing, a girl no older than Lucia approached Marcus in the hallway. She wore a medical ID bracelet and carried a crayon drawing of a man in a janitor's uniform standing between a monster labeled Big Pharma and a crowd of stick figures. Marcus had to turn away so she wouldn't see his face crumple. What followed was a dangerous journey, an overlooked janitor navigating constant surveillance to expose the truth. How did he gather evidence under watchful eyes? How did he contact a journalist while being followed? Stay tuned to uncover how Marcus risked everything to confront powerful executives, setting off a chain of events that would change lives forever. The stakes only get higher from here.
And that's the end of this incredible journey. Thank you for sticking with us through every twist, turn, and revelation. Your time and support mean the world to us. But the stories don't stop here. If you love thrilling, suspenseful, and captivating tales, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss the next gripping story. Got thoughts on this story? Drop a comment below, we'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, stay curious, stay intrigued, and we'll see you in the next one. Subscribe now and get ready for the next unforgettable story.